Well, it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
We have a quorum.
No.
No? Not with me? Guess I can't vote. Well, we don't have a quorum yet, so we can't. Should I call Ellen?
Yeah. I hadn't heard of anyone not showing up.
Hey, Alan, are you here? Oh, okay, thank you. He's pulling in now.
That's late. Yeah. Have to garnish that check. Let's see. Anyone hear from Melissa or no?
Pardon?
Has anyone heard from Melissa or no?
No, I haven't. I thought about, there's another car just pulled in. I don't know. Should I call her? I guess I just won't call her.
I don't want to bother her.
Huh?
I don't want to bother her later on. It's like maybe she's
We got 3, we got a quorum.
yeah.
Mike, I didn't think we would decide tonight on
I could
liquidated
recorded
damages.
January
We just let him talk.
13th, 2025
I think that's
council meeting.
where we get together. I don't want to do executive night because of the Vikings. Good.
Very Western outfit.
Came from a guy that sits in here a lot, and listens to what's going on. So, yeah, it's never what to believe until it happens.
Well, that must have been Alan getting this pickup at his house. Now he's.
Oh, he just came from work. Who knows?
Hey, Alan. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Tobias, if you would do roll call.
Harstead.
Here.
Fire.
Here.
Shooty.
Here.
Osby.
Here. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, thank you for the good weather we've had for all our citizens and school kids, and we appreciate that, although we could use some moisture here before spring. So we'd ask for that. And please take care of all our first responders, from fire department to police to our veterans and our national security and armed forces. And thank you again. In your name, amen. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Yep. Harstead.
Aye.
Fire. Shooty.
Aye. Anybody have any conflicts of interest with anything going on tonight? We don't have to vote on that, do we?
Nope.
Okay, a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Can we do them all 3 or separate? Okay. That's the December 9th regular meeting and 2 special meetings on the 19th and the 30th, the 30th being the end of the year meeting.
Move to approve all 3. Second.
Roll call.
Horsted.
Aye.
Fire.
Aye.
Shooty.
Aye.
All aye, motion carried.
Okay, approved financial claims. Has everybody had a chance to look at the claim listing? Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the claims?
Move to approve. Second.
Roll call.
Horsted.
Aye.
Fire.
Aye.
Shooty.
Aye.
Okay, consent calendar items. The garbage hauler license renewal for Eddie, and to approve the disbursement of $10,000 to Del Rapids Ambulance for annual ambulance service. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Horsted.
Aye.
Fire.
Aye.
Shooty.
Aye.
Open comments. Anybody? Oh, Stephanie. Stephanie is from Siouxland Library, our branch out here.
Mayor Osten and the City Council, I am here to give our annual report of Siouxland Library. I'd like to just touch base with you since we serve this community of Crooks. You can tell from the report, I'm happy to announce that our numbers are up. The walk-ins might be due to my new door counter, but our circulation also went up 11%. Highlights from the year included several special programs. We did the kickoff party for the summer reading program in conjunction with Crooks Community Days. So we had the party at the library, and we're thrilled the Crooks area working together brought a face painter and helped promote it. So we got over 100 people attending that program. We have some things coming up too. Right now we're finishing our winter reading program. It's not too late to just look down and cover a mud. But we also are going to be doing Everybody Reads. We want to show the community how important it is to read. It models that behavior for children. And so for every book returned in March, we're offering a construction paper gumball that people can fill out, and then we'll pepper the walls with the gumballs to show how much this community values reading. One other thing, the fire department showed up for a story time, and we sure appreciate that support too. We didn't get a great turnout, but we would like to try it again in the future, so thank you for that. We did some building improvements. Now, Minnehaha County owns the building, but they put more insulation in the walls to make the building warmer, and we put new landscaping in the outside to make it more attractive for people. We still are doing a Tuesday story time and could use your help if you know some young families with children to come. It's at 10:30 in the morning. In fact, I have a handout for you that lists our programs for children. This just takes us through the end of February.
Thank you.
It's a lot of fun, and parents can stay afterwards and talk and get to know each other in the community better. So please help promote it and let people know that we have this. And we're still creating our summer programming. We plan to offer a program each week for children and each week for teens. And we're having an engineering program in March for teens. This program will be done by a professional engineering society. We've had it annually for the last 2 to 3 years with a good turnout. It's hands-on fun done by an actual scientist and not us trying to teach science-related material to children. And finally, if you receive feedback from the community regarding the library, we're always interested in how to serve better and be a better partner with the city of Crooks. So please send them along to me. I always appreciate that. Any questions?
No, I would say for all of you that live here, when we get our yearly property tax form, there's a part in there that's for the library. And so that's, the building out here and the people that work there. Do you still do the card day or coffee day or?
We did it until we didn't get anybody to come.
Okay.
But if we heard from you that you would like us to do that again, we would start it back up. It was an hour on Tuesdays each month. We did a pot of coffee and then people would get together to play games. The library's closed, so it's nice and quiet and private. But if we heard from the citizens that they wanted that again, we would start it back out.
Okay. I was gonna come and I didn't.
Oh, yeah, it would have been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Do I open it as a public hearing or?
Anyone else have open comments?
Oh, anybody else have open comments? Okay. So public hearings, the Crooks Volunteer Fire Department is requesting a special event liquor license for the 15th of March. And can I just ask if anybody, huh?
Yeah.
If anybody has anything for or against them, why they shouldn't, they do it annually as a fundraiser, the fire department, so it's all volunteers, and it's a way for them to raise money. So if anybody have any yay or nay about that? Vote on that one item then?
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the special event license?
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Harsted,
Aye.
Fire,
Aye.
Shooty,
Aye.
Okay, amendment zoning ordinance of the city of Crooks, revised ordinance in, ordinance 357, an ordinance of the city of Crooks, South Dakota, amending the 2023 revised Crooks zoning regulations by amending chapter 18, amendments and change of zone section 18.01 procedure. And I don't know if anybody took anything off the table, but at least 2 signs have to be posted on the property for a continuous period of 7 days, immediately prior to any public hearing held by city council. So, anybody in the audience have anything to say about that? Just more visual notification. Is there a motion?
We're still providing the signs?
Yeah, so
They just have to put
they
them up.
have to post them. And just briefly touch it, remember we changed it for P and Z and then the planning district, and we didn't catch it until the meeting of P and Z, so this is just for council.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Second? Eric, second.
Yes.
Roll call?
What are we approving exactly?
I don't know.
Yeah, give a
Ordinance
first reading.
350.
Oh,
That's the
that's
first
just, it's
reading.
just
Oh,
the first reading.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
Sorry.
all good.
We'll go to reports then from our city engineer with, start with project updates, and we have Jake from DGR and Trent, the main chairman of the board, no, manager of the Sioux Falls area.
That's not what you called him last week.
No, obviously, trucks are today, color face for most of you, maybe not all, but.
Did you all grab one of these off the table? I'm sorry. We're
Does everybody have a copy of that?
putting down there our construction progress plans for, is that on the table over there?
Yep, there's one on the table. We have additional ones up here if you'd like. This.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so with that, it's our intention to have an updated version of this every month, for the council, getting their packets. You know, it'll look large in part as it does here, just, you know, minor updates based on progress to respective projects that were recorded for the previous month. Not our intention to go through everything in detail every month, because that'd be pretty long-winded. As you can see, it's, you know, a good 3+ pages of information, but gives good insight into what gets worked on day in, day out, collaborating with staff. And then, if nothing else, keeps kind of us, DGR, honest about, you know, what we're doing, staying on top of matters. And then also kind of look ahead towards, putting a little more effort towards CIP planning, things of that nature. This is a good jump start towards that, and get stuff on paper. We've done a good job of, you know, collaborating and looking ahead to those 5, 10-year plans, but getting something on paper is a little bit more of a conscious effort here talking with Tobias and staff. So a couple of projects just to make quick mention of. The water system improvement project here in the last couple of weeks, we received notice from the DNR that we have been approved to bid that project. So we'll look at the details the next couple of days, probably tomorrow with Tobias, but I'm looking at a February 5th bid opening with that, which means we're going to publish that this week, and then that would get us in position to review and ultimately award the project at the February meeting, assuming bids are reasonable there. So good progress on that one. Shared use path lighting, we've talked through in the last couple of meetings about some options there. The T-Mobile Hometown Grant, that's a quarterly application. We're kind of scrambling, if you will, to try to put something together by the end of the year. It didn't quite come together with the letters of support that are needed, so shifting focus to a Q1 application, which would be March 31st for a phase 2 lighting along phase 2 of the shared use path. And then also another great opportunity that SMGA made Butch aware of the past along was through AARP. That recently came out for their 2025 funding cycle with a March 4th or 5th application deadline. So we'll work with staff as appropriate if there's desires to look towards phase 3 with that one. One thing to note is those are kind of simultaneous timelines, so there's a chance that one may be funded, you know, one may not. You know, certainly a chance that neither would as well. But
So the phase 2 would be the north from Main Street north. We're applying to T-Mobile for the grant to get the light poles and lights in. Phase 3 from pumping stuff this way to the school, we're gonna apply to AARP for this phase. So what he just said is we may not win a grant on the second, we may win on the third, but we'll keep trying and reading both of these grants. It looks like very good opportunity for small towns.
yeah, there's certainly appropriate projects for what these grants are set up for. Obviously, far from guaranteed, but reason for optimism and certainly worthwhile to put some effort towards those. Any other questions on anything kind of on this list or what I just spoke to, just general project matters?
I just, on the second page, you know, like the white that started coming to meetings, but this is what's upcoming. And so we're doing the sanitary sewer system study. And then phase 2 is start of improvements, which would probably be First Ave from just north of Critters all the way down to 4th Street and Main Street. I think that would be one phase, that'll be coming up. We're hoping to be able to start it in 27, or maybe at the end of 26. Is that right?
Yeah, yep, that's exactly right. We had a good meeting with staff last week, kind of a good midway, if you will, point of the sanitary study. And, that's kind of another good kickoff, if you will, to some CIP considerations there and seeing how all these different projects mesh together. Certainly from a construction, but ultimately a funding standpoint over the course of the next 10 years. So, good conversation there. Expect, a lot more information in the next couple of months with an ultimate, kind of presentation of our findings to this group here in a short while. Then, if there's no other questions on the project stuff, the other agenda item there is the East Side Lift Station. Obviously, this is John Rennick with H&W contractor to my left over here. I'll kind of preface this a little bit. So, the project, field work's complete now. Everything's ready for final payment. There were obvious challenges with getting the project completed on within the contract times allotted. Most specifically to resolution of punch list items, which correlates to the final completion of the project. Substantial completion would correlate to an operational system. That was generally met. The challenges with timing, they're more specific to punch list items, satisfaction of that, and with that came liquidated damages in the amount of $232,500. So the fund is complete now. We've moved forward. We've prepared final documents. As such, that information has been provided to H&W. Oftentimes, when there's liquidated damages at play, we invite the contractor to come to the city owner, provides an opportunity for a conversation. We DGR often end up kind of playing the middleman in between contractor and owners, and rightfully so for good reason. We're the on-site representative and have an in-depth understanding of the project, but situations like this just kind of allow for a more candid conversation, if you will. So unless I get surprised, I'm not expecting a resolution on anything tonight, but if nothing else, just giving John an opportunity to, explain, the project and, some of the challenges that, we saw and you guys experienced with timing. We have not received an official response to the liquidated damages and or final documents, so I would expect that to be kind of a next result after this conversation, but if nothing else, hopefully this kind of expedites that process a little bit and we can work towards
When you say official response, you're meaning from H&W. And haven't we tried this for a few months to get this done?
Yeah, so it took several months to get the field work complete, which was satisfaction of all punch list items.
I mean, just to get this meeting.
Yeah, so I was asked to come in December and I had family items.
Okay.
Yeah, so the final documentation was sent on December 4th. We had asked him to come to the December 9th meeting in that letter.
Okay.
As he just stated, he was able to attend, so. I'll turn it over to John and or the city here and I'll, be able to fill in the blanks.
If you don't mind me talking first, I guess I'll go through a few things. Like I said, John Rennick, H&W Contracting, Vice President for the company. I am the project manager, scheduler, everything kind of far and in between. A few things I guess I just wanted to kind of lay out from the beginning to kind of the end of the project, because we did have some challenges along the way as well. Originally when the project was bid, it was the sanitary sewer enforcement with the lift station and an initial about 9,000 yards of dirt to build up the roadway to be able to get the utilities in. That was bid early fall, late summer of '22. After our grading guy got on site later that year, started stripping some of the soil, we weren't coming into any good clay material that could be used for that embankment. At that time, we worked with DGR in the city on a change order, which included what is Heritage Pond now. Basically, there was an additional 25,000 yards of unclassified excavation for the pond to get down to a deeper soil strata that had better clay material for that roadway. In doing so, our initial grading contractor refused to hold their bid price because it was bid as scraper dirt, around 440, 450 a cubic yard. We had the conversation with them to see if they would accept that change order. They would not, which was Zach Rice out of Hartford. We agreed to do it, to do the work over the winter months. We didn't anticipate the snow like we got in the winter of '22 and '23. A lot of the days when our guys worked out there, we'd have 4 days or 4 hours worth of work, another 3 hours worth of warming the equipment up, and 2 hours of cleaning trash. It's just with the snow that was out there, by the time it started, the sun come up, it put a sheet of ice out there, we couldn't get around with any of the equipment. Everything was like this on skate. Due to that, the amount of work that we did over the winter, coming into spring and even summer of '23, we had some soft spots through the embankment where the road is now. We dug that up in June and there was still snow through some of that dirt down there, through our field area. That created basically a huge trickle effect on everything else. We had subs that were relying on our initial schedule to be able to get them in, get the road built, be able to get in, get the buildings up, get the electrical completed, which, like I said, just kind of created a trickle effect all the way. It delayed stuff on our end, it delayed stuff that was out of our control of Excel in Q3 as well. We had Excel, by the time we finally got the road up and going, we turned that over to them the first part of July. They actually didn't show up and complete their work until October 5th. We had a startup plan, and they didn't show up for that afternoon to put the meter on after we called, and the meter was supposed to be on a week prior. I know the gas got installed, I think, in October. Meter was out due to just delays with lead times on equipment, as it's been such since COVID. And I don't think the gas got hooked up to the generator until January of 23, I believe it was, or 24, January of 24. So there's been a trickle effect of kind of delays as they come along. Jacob mentioned the delays in getting the punch list done. I'm not going to deny that. That is solely on me in our office. When we got the punch list, there were some items that we were able to get going on. There's some other items with the spring weather we had in '24 that we just didn't get completed. And a handful of those were just regrading, reseeding type items on stuff that was completed before. There's a couple other items that were like tracer wire box that still had to be installed. System was working. I mean, it didn't affect the system as a whole, but yes, it was part of the final completion of the project. The biggest thing, like I said, as I look back, those two huge delays with the Excel and even getting Q3 out, because I know the city pushed, Jeannie pushed on them. Same thing, construction that year was an absolute nightmare. Trying to get them out, I think she said you guys usually get them on kind of their off weeks or weekends when they have nothing else going on. Those delays alone was close to 8 months worth of work that's outside of our control. The dirt as well, when we talked with Zacharias, wanted Zacharias to do the dirt, they want another $4 to $5 a yard. $4 to $5 a yard would have been about another $110,000 to $130,000 for that contract. So we were able to keep the unit price and keep it going. If we didn't accept the unit price as it was, I mean, we would have been sitting back in our hands waiting for essentially either that to go out and bid or some kind of a T&M type agreement to come in place to do that work, which it wouldn't have benefited the city and wouldn't have benefited us either. I mean, with the winter we had, it was a bad year to do work. So, like I said, we had quite a few delays that were just outside of our control, and I'm not denying that we had some that were well within our control as well. Just labor force and the weather in the spring of 24, 25. The lift station's been operational long before any of the flow, from the community was going on to it. Force main pipe, manhole, all that stuff was completed, December of 22. And it was just a matter of basically the dirt work, which kind of created the trickle effect.
Anybody up here have any questions? I don't think we're gonna decide anything tonight. We just wanted to,
No, I
Here
I
for-
wanted an opportunity to, I guess, say our piece and in front of you guys if there was any questions or, yeah, I just open up to discussion.
Jake, were there any times where you asked them or they said they were gonna come out where they just didn't, or didn't show up?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't point to a specific date or time, but I can say with confidence there was, you know, requests for, you know, items to be addressed, and, you know, we were instructed as was the city that, you know, it would be done this week or that, and, you know, to no avail. And, like I said, and, you know, John mentioned as well, that, you know, the biggest frustration I think it was experienced by both DGR and the city, was the punch list items and how long that drug on, and which John made us.
Jesus Christ.
But, that was the biggest challenge, was that.
That's here. Yeah.
Station complete, lift station is operational, you know, letting all these things linger and culminate certainly at a cost. As I mentioned when I kicked this off, I think the next step here would be to, for John to respond in a more formal manner to, some requests. Just both DGR and city will, you know, work back and forth that way, but John, we just ask that you do that timely and, you know, just finding a resolution here and not, waiting, you know, to do so.
Yeah, I think we'd like to get it figured out by next meeting.
Yeah, there's good reason to, you know, move as quickly as possible to stop the, you know, incurring of additional costs as been the case, so.
Okay, thanks for coming, John.
Yeah. There's not any other questions, I was gonna step out.
No.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you got anything else, Jake?
That's all we have, or any questions on any matters or projects?
I just have a question about the sewage connections. You're doing studies for Sioux Falls or Hartford. What do those studies involve? And how will you make the decision? Or how will the city make the decision?
Yeah, so the studies involve several factors, feasibility, you know, being, you know, that is, of course, you know, what are the, how possible is this option or that? And then obviously, you know, once we determine as part of that study a feasible option for, you know, Hartford, Sioux Falls, or for that matter, we're looking at options that would be more specific to Crooks, you know, keeping their treatment in-house, if you will. You know, the other piece of that is obviously once we determine that scope or that feasible project, what the cost is of that. That's ultimately what's going to control, you know, the options, the cost today, but also stretching that out over, you know, the course of a decade, 2 decades, and what's that present work analysis is what we have to call that. So not necessarily looking at just a snapshot, but what's this like for Crooks today, 12 to 20 years. So that's kind of the short answer. There's, you know, it's a.
How close is the connectors? Like if we, Sioux Falls.
We don't know that yet.
Yeah,
Part of the challenge right now is figuring out.
that's still being determined, but
Let me try and fill in some of the blanks. We're going to get a new discharge permit for our sewer system, most likely in June, right? Yeah, we're
It's
hoping.
probably gonna be delayed. They almost
It
always.
was supposed to have been in June.
Yeah, it was supposed to be June of last summer. But when that comes out, we're pretty much banking on the fact that our lagoons won't be able to meet the standard that they're gonna set. The EPA is on a mission to eliminate lagoons. That's kind of where they're heading. So when we get that new permit, we have 5 years to comply with it. So our discharge limits will be set by the EPA. We have 5 years to hook up or to do something about it. So what DGR is doing for us is a study that will say, here's your options, what we can do, whether it's we build our own treatment plant like Hartford and Harrisburg have done, whether it's, connect to Hartford or connect to Sioux Falls. The study that we're paying them for will hopefully give us the guidance to make that decision. So the EPA has also given Sioux Metro Growth Alliance a grant for $23.6 million to regionalize wastewater treatment in our part of the county. That includes Crooks, Colton, Lyons, Tri-Valley, schools, etc. So one of the things that plays into that, when we talk about the different options that we may have, certainly one option would be to build our own treatment plant. There's no helper money sitting there for that. But if we want to take our stuff and send it to Hartford or Sioux Falls, there's this $23 million grant sitting there to help foot the bill for that. So basically, we're working with DGR to get this study done that will be the roadmap for how we have to proceed. With any amount of luck, the connecting to one or the other really won't cost us anything. That's kind of the intent behind it. There are some other projects that we need to do in town. So when we talk about the next phase of the sanitary sewer project, what we just did up in Palmyra, replacing all the streets, curb and gutter, water, sewer, everything, we need to do that in basically all town up to 7th Street? Not quite, but pretty close. So like when we talk about the next phase, that'd be right in front of your house, but that chunk, and then another chunk would be from there back and over to 4th Street, and eventually to 5th and 6th Street. We have to do that because that is old clay sewer, the original stuff from, the 50s? I mean, it's 75 years old in some places, it's older than that in others. It's well past its useful age. By doing some of those projects, that actually is the matching money that's required for this other grant. So with, like I said, with a little bit of coordination and planning, the projects that we already needed to do are going to lay the base work for this big project. And, with saying that Colton, Lyons, Rosenbauer, Tri-Valley all kind of work in this too, Crooks is going to be in the driver's seat. Because from here, the grant that's sitting there, they don't care where our wastewater goes. They don't care if it goes to Hartford. They don't care if it goes to Sioux Falls. They're more worried about regionalization of that process. Both places want us to go there. So we are looking for the best deal to fix this. I know you guys have been around as long as I have. 15, 18 years ago, we were in the same boat. We were going to either expand the lagoons or we were looking at going to Sioux Falls. At the time, going to Sioux Falls was $1.2 million, and expanding the lagoons was $400,000. And we chose to expand the lagoons because it's so much cheaper. Well, that 1.2 million is probably 10 today. Yeah, I mean, it's 10 times the price. If our council would have been more forward thinking at the time, it would have been a bigger piece of pie to bite off, but we wouldn't be having this conversation today. So the study and what we do next is a 50-year solution for water, sewer, wastewater in Crooks. And that's how we're treating it. So like I said, as long as we play our cards right here over the next 3 to 5 years, we're gonna get that done for essentially for grant. for free. So that's the angle, that's what they're working on for us now.
Yeah, so it'll be a big difference once we know where the Sioux Falls hookup is versus Hartford. We know where Hartford's is. I shouldn't have said we don't, because they just built and they have a spot. The grant, like Mike said, is regional. So it's for all these towns and school to work together. So the politics side of that is because through different meetings where I was involved in Hartford and so on, that's when we got hold of John Thune on a bus ride. And John and Senator Rounds got us a 23.6. So there would be some politics involved on the side of Hartford if we didn't go that way. But as Crooks Council, we have to do, like Mike said, what's best in the long run. So we're looking at all those options. So there's a lot of stuff, and it's not gonna happen quick. I think there's at least 10 years to use that money. Obviously, it'll cost more in 10 years, but we started looking at this because we knew this Danner was gonna come out with tougher standards that we could release into the creek. So with Mike's scenario, we're hoping that's the way it goes, and we have to do these projects in town. Therefore, we can take that money we spent on sewer and use it towards the grant, because the grant has a 20% match. So, you know, if we do, we'll know as we do the projects, but so it's time consuming. Mike Tobias met last week. I missed it. We're meeting again this week with Colton. And then next month, we'll probably start meeting with our engineers. We haven't had them there last couple of meetings. Well, they were there this last week. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff. And the main thing is 5 years and beyond. And then after that, it's 50 years. So, and then whether you hook up to Hartford or Sioux Falls, then you pay as you go. First, you have to pay for the number of houses you have, and they go by water meter size. But then as we grow, one house gets added or 10 houses get added. Then at the end of that year, we pay for 10 more households into either system. But we're hoping the first part will be able to come out of that grant, where Mike said we play our cards right, we have very little to pay out. So if you're hearing rumors or questions or whatever, it's a slow moving thing right now. So anybody else want to say anything, or anybody have any
We
other?
don't really have a choice in the matter.
Pardon?
So we don't really have a choice in the matter. We have to do it.
Yeah, once we get the Danner.
Yeah, you have to do something.
Yeah.
Or you will have to do something, and so this is just, you're positioning yourself to be able to make the best decision for the city of Crooks as it continues to grow, and like you said, you're wanted by a couple different factions
Yeah.
that'll play to your favor, and we're already seeing that, you know, that they're already sharpening their numbers, sharpening their pencils to try to, you know, lure the Crooks community to them, because they benefit from having the additional flow in their system, because there's, you know, they make money off of that long term as well, so.
So,
It's a win-win-win
yeah.
situation. with this.
So- we don't want to do something without having said, look, we had this study done and, we're all very smart people up here. No, I'm just joking. But we don't know much about sewer. I didn't mean that, we weren't, I was just joking here. But anyway, so we're trying to do the best we can and not do a mistake, which we think was a mistake 15, 20 years ago, not looking ahead. Another example would be the lift station in Sunset Park, not looking ahead. If that lift station would have been another quarter mile or half mile east over on the gravel road where we just put one, we wouldn't need the lift station in Sunset. Nobody was looking far enough ahead at that time. So we're trying to do that now. Economic development.
Utility,
Hmm?
utility.
Oh, I thought we just did it. Okay, I don't have anything.
Utility.
Yeah, water loss is up quite a bit. So that is the major item. So we're rolling out meter replacements, 50 a year now, aggressively. They started to do inventory gas training. They're working on regulatory reports this month. And we have bumped up our cross training even more aggressively to get the rotation going. So, yeah, water loss was at over 30% starting in October. So we're gonna, it jumped surprisingly, and it's hard to explain why it jumped. So I just want to give everyone a heads up that we're moving ahead and trying to get at least the water meter situation figured out, because our infrastructure is in many places 30 years old.
How many water meters do we have?
550 customers roughly, which the majority are all 5/8. We've pulled a quote from Ferguson, which is 165 a meter, but we have to buy the brass meter bodies, what we have to replace, as well as the register head. And we have tap fees that we can use for that, so that's kind of the plan. The same goes with gas meters are being replaced too. Our census gas meters are also all close to 30 years, so I told them we need to replace those as well. The moment the meter goes under 95% reading, we should replace it, and they should really be replaced between, let's call it 20 years is pushing it for a meter. And I know some of our older ones, larger gas meters, they test well, but that is something that you don't know. And we've had instances of meters not registering at all for natural gas. The same goes for water, and that is actually independent of age too. So that's really what I told the guys is this needs to get worked on this year. There's no more of this delaying. So that was it for utilities. Yeah.
Can you help me understand the gas bill for the month of December?
So December was warm. The city locks in certain volumes, so that means we have to buy a fixed volume. If we don't buy that fixed volume, we have to sell it back. So the person or entity we're buying it from is making us pay to take it back because we can't store it. So what happened in December is we sold about 20,000 hours worth of gas back, and that is what resulted in the bump in your rate. Now, I want to remind everyone, February 2021, the resounding feedback was buy insurance gas. So the commodity business is a fickle one because we can't predict the weather. So the city locks in layered based on 100% of average use. And what happens when it's warm is we don't sell the units and we can't store them. So we have to sell them back, and then we distribute that cost through the rates to all customers. That is unfortunate because the rates jumped about 20 cents a unit from November to December, but January is looking much better. We talked to the contractor or our commodity broker. So we should see a decrease there because we're meeting the average volumes of the volumes that we need to purchase.
I just want to say this about the gas utility. We talk all the time about the gas utility needs to run like a business. And it does for the most part. But I don't know any business on the world had a bad month and had a loss would go back and charge our customers for it. I mean, that's something that we need to look at closely, because, I mean, I've heard from some people in my area of town that, you know, hey, they were thinking in their mind, hey, December was actually a pretty decent month for heating, my bill should be pretty decent. And then it's a bump up. It's very counterintuitive to my way of thinking. So I don't know, I mean, if that is just standard practice, how this is done, I mean, I don't understand how, you know, buying gas and then selling it back at a loss makes any sense for anybody, but I leave the oil and gas company apparently. Because that just seems really awful to me. But I don't know, I don't like it when we, you know, I certainly don't like it when we don't have enough and have to pay a premium for it, and my gas bill goes up to $1,400 in a month. But I also don't like it when I'm thinking I've got a short bill coming in, it's $400, you know? I don't know if there's a better way to do that, but I honestly kind of figured there would be more people here tonight for the number of complaints that I've heard in the last week or so.
We have had this issue before. That's how it works. But it's worked when the city bought volume. That has worked out when it works with the commodity broker. We've tried years ago. I've tried commodity broker. Let me pick my dates based on weather forecast. He won't let us do it. The way he does it is fixed volume. He spreads it throughout the days. If we go over a day, great. We're buying at index or market. If we don't, we sell it back. I mean, that's what we hired him for. If you guys want to be more involved in volume purchasing, we certainly can do that. However, let's say you want to forego buying locked-in volume, you're running the risk of buying at market rate. Our locked-in volumes are lower, and we have long-term contracts in place than other cities that he has. I talked to him. I was even bigger concern because they had over 60-degree weather days down there, so they got quite the surprising bills. I understand the frustration here, and we're trying to do our best, but one thing is, December was exceptionally warm, and when we have a contract, unfortunately, we have to honor it. And we've looked at storage, and that was incredibly expensive too. We did that after February, and that was so expensive and additional requirements, and then we would still have to facilitate the installation of all the technology to then redistribute or distribute back into the system. We're trying, Bill is doing, Mr. Lindley Clayton, they have done well by us. It's just that this month is unfortunate in that sense, that the rate really did jump quite a bit.
In 2021, I think, when we had the polar vortex and rates went through the roof, it's because we used up all the gas we had spoken for. So then they had to go out on the open market. But if it wouldn't have been for Clayton Energy, and Bill is the guy that owns it, they were able to pool. They have 35 other towns in Iowa. They were able to pool and buy on the market cheaper than what you saw on TV. Although it was still sky high, it helped us buy gas back then cheaper than a lot of other places. So then the response was, instead of buying 80% of the last 10-year average, buy 100% of the last 10-year average. That's where
We're looking at we were buying in layers, tranches, so to speak. So we look at the past few years, we're buying, let's say 10, 50% at that. And we're doing that going forward. So when you buy, you don't buy, let's say we take tomorrow. We're not looking back at 10 years. We're looking at, we could look back at 10 years, but we're not buying a 10 years average. Usually we're buying, let's say, roughly 3-year average, and then we buy a certain quantity. We lock that in at the most favorable pricing, and the way it works is he tries to time it right, but even the commodity market is not that easy. Could go up, could go down. You then sign a contract. Usually it could be annual contracts, could be long-term contracts. The city used to sign long-term contracts, let's say 5 years or so longer, with who was then Centerpoint, who would sell at the takeoff point, and then I think for a short while maybe it was Synergy when they were buying out that business. So when we're layering, Clayton Energy is trying, in conjunction, he runs it by the city, you know, once he's close to locking in or after he's locked in, to make sure we get the best pricing. So that's really how that goes. Now, the city could reduce it. You could buy nothing locked in. Now, locked in long-term value gives you price consistency. So the goal is to ensure that a certain percentage of supply that we're buying is at a negotiated rate that is not subject to index pricing or spot prices. Spot prices are what cause polar vortex to jump on that. What happened is spot price back then was between $200 and $1,000 for 10 units. We bought for 200 at that point because the allocation, the way it goes is we buy X amount. It's equally spread throughout the days. So it's an average amount of fixed volume that we're buying at that rate. Everything above that, we will have to buy at spot or index. We asked him if we could pick the dates. He says no, otherwise everyone would do it. And then it would be kind of unfair. So that's what happened. And what happens is if we don't, we still have to buy, right, when we agree to the agreement. Now, since we can't store it, we have to send it somewhere else. And usually we have to sell it back. The thing is you're coming out flush because either it evaporates, right, because we're buying it, but we can't use it, or we're selling it back. I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. Because either we send it out of the pipe into the air, gone, or we send it back to someone else. I don't know what the credit is, what the balancing is that he does, if there even is, but presumably if we're selling back, other systems are selling back, there is a surplus. So taking it or sending it back would save us, I would assume, hypothetically, space where we would have to store the commodity. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. Understand it. And I agree with Mike. It's unfortunate to pass the cost along. And if there is something where you could do it, then great. I mean, you guys could install more gas appliances. That was a joke. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Do you guys want to buy less, or how do you want to handle it then?
So the next 2 weeks go?
I mean, it's just one of those things, it's unfortunate when it doesn't play in our favor.
Well, yeah, and it's rough, right? Because it is quite a bit. Because I think the estimated purchase was 70,000, 20,000 had to be sold back, so it was 94. So, well, looking for locked-in volumes.
Being hooked up with Clayton Energy or a company like that also helps us, maybe not in a long extended cold or warm, but let's just say it was warmer here and colder down in Iowa, then we're able to sell it back to those that need it and would pay that price. But everybody was warm, so nobody wanted it. Yeah, or they're big companies that store their gas. Yeah, I don't think the gas company, I think it should be run like a business. I don't think it's something Crook should ever consider selling myself. I think it's something we should always keep, but it's I'm not sure if we, it's like buying grain at an elevator. Some people do it. They have a professional guy there every day, up or down. You could do that with gas, I guess. We're trying to play it safe and trying to make the best decision. I guess that's what it boils down to. And I think we've gotten better at it since we hired Clayton Energy to help us with it. The company before didn't give us any credit at all if they sold some of our extra gas we didn't use. Anyway, yeah, I guess it's council wants to consider taking the loss and not charging the customer, I guess it's, something we should, put on the agenda and talk about next month. Or is that too late?
Oh, in the end, the citizens are still taking the loss. And
Yeah, either
fortunate
way.
part of the gas system is there's a substantial portion of the customer base that's outside of town. So that loss is not lost. So that impact is spread. So I think that's another consideration here. I mean, instead of saying, oh, let's just eat it because then you're subsidizing non-Crooks residents.
Because we're selling gas.
Yep, outside of city limits.
All the way to Renner and north up the old highway, north of Renner, south of Renner to where the Methodist church is. All along, 258, when they put the line in, they hooked up farm customers, so, that's a point that Tobias is making. I don't think we ever want to see where we all start trying to run the gas company and make decisions. It's been over the years, not quite 25 years or thereabouts. It's done pretty good. Anyway, we were trying to protect against the cold. Anybody have any comment? Anything else on utilities? Economic development. No, the only thing I'd say is, I don't know if you got a notice of it, but anybody can go, but this Wednesday night at Jefferson High School from 5:30 to 7, I think, is a public meeting about exit 86 out here at the interstate. It's just an upgrade. I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we had a meeting here. Anyway, they've got some changes they're making to the final plan. That, as far as I know, that interchange is scheduled to be redone in 2029 or 2030. So this is in preparation for that. Streets.
I don't have anything right now.
Planning and zoning.
Regular meetings next Monday. Jeff had a meeting with CCOG on potential revisions to our zoning regulations, subdivision regulations, just some updates. Otherwise, they're working with or listening to the builder and developer for that multifamily piece after the senior living facility is not going to be realized. Another developer approached him about building apartments. So that'd be, I think, an interesting meeting to just hear them out, see what they are presenting. They're going to have some plans, so it will be.
Yeah. Since then, this last Monday morning, there was a meeting with the interested person about senior living for that piece of land. So I don't know I didn't go to it, but maybe at planning and zoning, we'll find out if the developer comes to them. And so government buildings and IT infrastructure.
Just waiting on stuff to finalize everything for the new shop. And that's it.
Okay.
Bless you.
Excuse you, or bless you. Parks.
The skating rink is going, get a lot of use out of it. We've got somebody scheduled next week to buy us for the trees.
This week, Thursday.
Thursday this week, we had somebody coming in to look at what we could use for trees in Heritage Pond, and some replacement ones in New Hope, and a few other things around town, so.
Darren Roush, who lives here in town, he's bringing somebody in. I mentioned to him about it, but we're thinking about planting a tree grove out there, Heritage Pond, and then it would also be trees we could pluck out of there for the future when we need them at other parks if trees are dying or needs to be replaced, but it would be a perfect spot. So we're gonna find out about that, I think Thursday morning or Wednesday, one of the two, this week.
I have a question.
Yes,
The ice rink,
yes.
how much does that cost to put one of those up?
Mike,
We're running for about $1,500.
1,500?
it was, yeah, but somebody paid for the liner. So, and that was 400 or 500, so probably for less than 2,500. And it's all being manned voluntarily,
Right.
and, fire department has got their lights over there that are on a timer. So it's going wonderful, cause it's all
I
volunteer.
think it's a great addition.
Well, I do too.
I just didn't know if, I mean, it's just been started and it's been cold, it's either been too warm sometimes.
Yep.
Or it's been too cold, but when it's great weather for it, it's really good.
Oh, it's fun watching.
It's good to see that, I just didn't know if, you know, there's a lot of hockey players. And I didn't know if they would kind of take over for some of those little kids or just families that just wanted to come and skate.
Well, there's families coming and skating with their kids, and there's families teaching their kids how to skate,
Right.
and there's young kids with hockey sticks trying to,
Yeah.
so it's a variety of people coming there, and anyway, I hope between those hockey people, we could, keep the volunteerism up on that, and keep that, going. It would be nice at some point to find maybe a better location, but this central location, I think,
Yeah.
does make a difference.
I just didn't know if there was, room or if it was possible to have like a second, rink for just the average skater
Yeah.
without the hockey players.
Well, I watch it just about every day and night out of my window, and I haven't seen any conflict between hockey, and if there's kids with hockeys and kids or older people, they seem to all get along together, and so at this point, I don't think it's a problem.
Right, I just didn't know if there was, someday down the road, if that was possible, if you get two different ones that are different.
At some point, maybe. Right now,
Yeah. no,
we
that's
got,
fine.
we got parks we gotta get finished with bathrooms. Anyway, Mike was asked about it and he pursued it, and I told him, go ahead, and, all credit should go to Mike on getting that done.
I think it's very interesting.
Finance.
Nothing on Dakota.
End of year stuff is being done. So we're working on, journal entries to close out, start our annual report preparation. We're updating fixed asset schedules, as well as the tax stuff, W-2s, 1099s. Concurrently, we've revised the accounting structure, made updates to our payroll software. We're rolling out a more detailed, accounting format, as you can see in your financial reports. We're, particularly enterprise funds, water and sewer, are getting new activity levels added, which water will have pumping, which is the electricity cost, distribution, which is for distribution of water, as well as administration in general. And sewer has seen a shift from the just catch-all 432 designation to the activity level 4321, which is administration, and 4325, which is sewer collection and disposal. Otherwise, we're working on reviewing the utility billing software. We saw some snags there where certain device multipliers were incorrect on a water, which we have figured that one out now, which will be attributable to a portion, potentially a little bit of the water loss. On the administration side, the code book, we finally have received a response from the attorney for the first review, so that is moving full steam ahead. So hopefully the first reading will be the latest by the February meeting. A polished version will be accessible on the website for everyone to read way in advance, because I will have to share it with everyone on council. So you guys, public, you can go to on the website. It will be under documents, ordinances, proposed ordinances. You will have access to that. So that will be.
Well, I just gotta, tell you that, the last couple of years, year and a half, Tobias has been really working on refining our finance report. I know, he had Jana help him, but, we're really working that thing over, and, by the way, this, July, we'll start our budget to put together for 26. In the meantime, the auditor will be in to audit the books like is done every year. And that should probably start pretty soon.
Actually, it'll take a while. They haven't finished our current audit. They're very far behind new regulatory requirements. So hopefully they will come in early summer. But before the audit is done, the city has to prepare an annual report, which is available and is essentially a compilation of our numbers for the previous fiscal year. And that is due by the first meeting in May. The target date is always May. Hopefully, though, getting it done April's meeting would be the goal right now, but everything has to go very smoothly and the stars have to, so to speak, perfectly align for that. But if you ever have any questions about budget, means of finance, so forth, please feel free to reach out.
Okay, code enforcement, animal control.
Has been very quiet. I will give my usual spiel of pet tax are $1. You can do everything online. If you do see a code issue, please let us know. Sometimes we're not aware of it, and because we don't have a uniform code book right now, different ways of notifying trigger different responses. So sometimes we can actually not pursue code issues unless, for example, we would get notification from the public. So if you see something, let us know, because you need to have it as a complaint, for example. Some things we can do proactively. Generally, what we try to do is try to reach out by a phone call first, and that usually resolves it. If that doesn't work, then I'll get the letter. Otherwise, the only really code issue we have is staying on top of the, obviously, our light industrial development, making sure compliance there. That includes the city. Otherwise, I don't think we've had many issues. One thing I do want to ask is, when snow season picks up and there is someone who does not clear their sidewalk within 48 hours, please let us know and we'll contact them. Like, that is one of those things we want to stay on top and make sure that everyone can safely traverse down if they have to.
Thank you. Okay, first reading of ordinance 358. An ordinance of the city of Crooks, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriation for fiscal year 2025 for the amount of $10,720. And resolution 2025-01 is the compensation for municipal employees and officials. I think it's also put in the paper, the messenger paper, if any of you get it, but it's also on the table there. And resolution 2025-01, a resolution by the city council of the city of Crooks establishing compensation for municipal officials and employees.
Second.
Harsted,
We just gotta vote on it?
have to vote on it.
Roll call.
Harsted.
Aye.
Fire. Aye. Shooty.
Aye.
Okay, resolution 2020, how do I get 24? That's 2025.
You have the right one there? That's the wrong date on there.
Oh, 2025-02. Designating an official newspaper. The resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota designating the official newspaper, which is the Minnehaha Messenger.
Second.
Roll call.
Harsted.
Aye.
Fire. Aye. Shooty.
Aye.
Okay, resolution 2025-03. That's designating our bank depository. A resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota designating the depository for municipal funds for the year 2025.
Second.
Roll call.
Harsted. Fire. Aye. Shooty.
Aye.
Resolution 2025-04, a resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota to sell real property as provided for in South Dakota Codified Law 9-12-1. And that's the old shop building.
Yeah. So,
Move to approve.
second.
Roll call.
Harsted.
Aye.
Fire. Aye. Shooty.
Aye.
That's the old garage. And the bid was 41,111, which was super. Resolution 2025-05, a resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota to sell real property as provided for in SDCL 9-12-1. And this is the shop on Main Street. I bid was 231,000.
Second.
Roll call.
Harsted.
Aye.
Fire. Aye. Shooty.
Aye.
Resolution 2025, huh?
There's one on the whereas there, it says old shop, should say new shop, so just, I'll get that clerical thing, just a heads up.
Okay. Resolution 2025-06, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Crooks, South Dakota adopting and establishing water and sewer rates and base rates for customers of the municipal water and sewer system billing periods for said services.
Second.
Roll call.
Harsted.
Aye.
Fire. Aye. Shooty.
Aye.
And this is something we do every January.
Yep, either January or December, take those rates.
I don't know if you all got a copy again, it's on the table. And Mike, motion?
A motion to designate representative for SMGA.
Oh, that's Mike anyway. Anybody want to volunteer, Mike?
I nominate Mike.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, who's the alternate?
Well, I was, I think.
Okay,
Second.
okay, all good.
Okay. So there's a motion, second, and
Harsted.
Aye.
Fire. Aye. Shooty.
Aye.
now Mike.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Harsted.
Aye.
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 Well, thanks for coming. We doubled the audience.
Yes, like 3 different times. Not the whole thing I haven't, no.
I saw it, but I didn't
Some of them I didn't, I got so much crap going on.
Thanks for good explanations again.
No, like Kurt, I think his name.
Yeah.
I read part of
He
it. and
wasn't asking for money.
No, I think he was just giving the financials and then he forgot.